With Kiara, that's exactly what we did. I mean, that was her main, I think that's the only thing that she told me, that Nicole, I don't ever want to do something that's not sustainable or I'm going to crash, because as I said, you can't be depleted on set. You have to look your part. You have to also have the energy to sustain a long shoot. So when you're working with a celebrity, things are a bit more calculated in terms of matching their shoot schedules, making sure if they're in a remote location, a producer's available, what are you going to make for them? A lot of work that goes in, depending on the role that they have to achieve. We have to build an ecosystem around it to make sure they achieve their goals. Abs are made in the kitchen, and 70% of being healthy is the work put in the kitchen. You have to take into account that genetics matter, hormones matter, gender matters. Everything that we do apart from just eating also matters. So yeah, it's achievable, but the timelines can differ. Because I try to create an ecosystem for the actor. So we dial in the trainer, we dial in the chef, nutrition, and everything. We basically create a bubble for the actor where we all work in synergy to make sure that we achieve our goals, because all of this is important, right? We make sure they're not starved. I mean, people assume that if they're shooting, they're not eating, but that's not true.
Like the model diet.
Yeah. There's nothing like that. I mean, there's really nothing like that. You're just seeing 10% of the job done. But they're working 13 hours a day. Your plate always has enough vegetables. I mean, I know protein has taken center stage to everything, but fiber is, if not equal, but more important, because if you don't have enough fiber, you can't digest the protein.
Okay, so welcome to season 2 of The Health Hustle, where we make your health worries hassle-free. And joining me in season 2, our health expert is Nicole Kedia. She is an integrative health coach and a sports nutritionist. She's worked with some of the most notable names in film and sports, which include the likes of Kiara Advani, Rakulpreet Singh, Anya Singh, and Shreyas Iyer. And I'm so excited because in this very episode 1 of season 2, we are going to be picking your brains on inside a celebrity transformation. We have a lot of them, and social media is buzzing with them.
Yeah.
But I want to pick your brains on that. So how different is it to prep a celebrity as opposed to a regular client for you?
I mean, see, when you're prepping a celebrity, they're a visual tool. So you have fixed timelines, you have shoot schedules, you have an aesthetic goal in mind. Of course, when you're working with a regular client, it's more about looking at their blood work, it's more about lifestyle correction, it's more about building habit rather than just a particular goal that's short-lived, I'd say. So when you're working with a celebrity, things are a bit more calculated in terms of matching their shoot schedules, making sure if they're in a remote location, a producer's available, what are you going to make for them, seeing their allergies, talking to the chefs over there, working with hotels over there. So it's a lot of work that goes in, depending on the role that they have to achieve. We have to build an ecosystem around it to make sure they achieve their goals. When you're working with a normal client, of course, you're trying to correct their entire lifestyle. You're trying to work with them and make sure that their health reports are clear, their blood work is clear, they feel energetic, they feel lively. That's the goal more rather than it being aesthetic.
Absolutely. You mentioned it so beautifully. I want to ask you about this because a lot of people have this misconception that they can get the most expensive gym membership or do the Pilates or all the fancy things that we see on the World Wide Web and probably get the physique that they ideally want. But my next question for you is, how much of a transformation is nutrition as opposed to training?
So you can't take away that all of these tools are essential. Pilates is great. Strength training is great. I mean, you have to strength train after a particular age to preserve muscle. But again, abs are made in the kitchen, and 70% of being healthy is the work put in the kitchen. You can only train for an hour, max 2 hours at the gym. But everything that you do apart from that happens at home, happens in your kitchen. So nutrition is unfortunately or fortunately 70% of the game.
Right.
And if your nutrition isn't dialed in, you can train as hard as you want, you can do whatever you want, but you won't achieve your goal.
Absolutely. I actually want to ask you about this. You just mentioned the fact that abs are made in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, can someone safely aim for a six-pack if they want one?
I mean, yes, the timelines will change. Like, it's not as, it is easier for some people to get six packs much more easily compared to someone else. It all depends on how well they sleep, how well their hormones function, what gender they are, where they come from. So a lot of it depends on that. So it's not that, I mean, you and I could be eating the same food and absolutely clean, but how we process it can be completely different. So yeah, you have to take into account that genetics matter, hormones matter, gender matters. Everything that we do apart from just eating also matters. So yeah, it's achievable, but the timelines can differ.
Okay, since we're talking about actors, there are long, rigorous shooting hours,
Yeah.
and you just mentioned the fact that logistics is such an integral part of it.
Yeah.
So, with the diet that you provide to the actors, how do you ensure that they survive the long shooting hours without bloating or fatigue? How would you do that?
Yeah, so this was the lacunae actually that I did notice in this industry, and that's what I try to do. Is I try to create an ecosystem for the actor. So we dial in the trainer, we dial in the chef, nutrition, and everything. We basically create a bubble for the actor where we all work in synergy to make sure that we achieve our goals, because all of this is important, right? So how do we deal with fatigue? Of course we fuel them correctly. We make sure they're not starved. I mean, people assume that if they're shooting, they're not eating, but that's not true.
Like the model diet.
Yeah. There's nothing like that. I mean, there's really nothing like that. They're eating really well. We're making sure they're eating smartly on those days, and that's where smart nutrition actually dials in.
Right.
Where you try to make sure that their fiber is low so that they don't bloat. Their sodium levels are balanced by their electrolytes. They're sipping on electrolytes all day. They're eating fast digestive proteins and easily digestive carbs. So we're not ever, at least for me, I'm never minusing a food group. We're making sure there's carbs, there's protein, there's fats. It's just how you do it, when you place it, and when you give it to your actors, that's actually important. And that's how they fuel themselves, because they have to, I mean, you're seeing them on screen and you're seeing that you're just seeing 10% of the job done.
Absolutely.
But they're working 13 hours a day. They have night shoots one day. The next day they're getting up at 6 a.m. to shoot again. So you have to factor all of these things, that their recovery is different, how their sleep schedules are different, their circadian rhythm is changing every now and then. So that's the bubble we try to create and try to make this process very easy for them.
Wow, that's really challenging is what it seems.
It is challenging. That I won't say.
Because my follow-up question to that would be, with everything being so adaptable, where, there could be a location which has probably the rainy gods showering one day and probably too much of sunlight. And you have to factor all of that in, just like you mentioned.
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of it, they're human.
Yeah, right.
So we have to take care of their immunity. We have to make sure they're supplementing well, because sometimes they don't get enough time to sleep. Sometimes they're always traveling. Traveling dehydrates your body, causes inflammation. So there are a lot of things with actors and cricketers that you have to understand, that what you're seeing on camera is literally, as I said, 10% of all the efforts.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like the amount of work that goes into, I mean, that's why I say that I have different risks. I mean, it's easy to say that their lives are so easy. I want to be an actor, but honestly, it's not as easy. At least from the eyes that I see it, it's not.
Absolutely. Let's talk about something that I really want to talk to you about today. For a very long time, the male entities in Bollywood or the film industry of our country have ruled what an ideal physique would look like. We've had the likes of Salman Khan, Hrithik Roshan, and so on and so forth. John Abraham as well.
Yeah.
And they've decided what an ideal male physique would look like. We've been compared to Greek gods and whatnot. But I want to ask you about this, because back in the day, we had Kareena Kapoor, who had done the size zero thing in Kashan, and that had everyone talking about it. But who wondered that in a movie with Hrithik Roshan, that being War 2, we would end up talking about Kiara Advani's brilliant physique.
Yeah.
So how different is it to sort of give nutrition to a male actor as opposed to a female actor?
It's very different. I mean, the main difference is hormones. I mean, like, it's way easier for men to get where they have to get to, because they have testosterone. That's the main hormone that's running. They can lose fat easily. They can put on muscle easier. Things just work better in their favor when it comes to getting abs. For females, you have to be a little bit more protective than aggressive, because you're dealing with like cortisol, you're dealing with thyroid, you're dealing with progesterone, estrogen. You have to make sure that you're balancing all of that. And strict timelines and, putting them through crash diets can only disrupt all of this. So as I said, my approach is I don't ever want to get to that phase where we have to use this kind of approach. So when it comes to female clients, we always start way in advance compared to an actor. An actor's transformation can happen in say 2 months, but a female body takes about 4 months if you want to do it the healthy way.
Right.
And with Kiara, that's exactly what we did. I mean, that was her main. I think that's the only thing that she told me, that Nicole, I don't ever want to do something that's not sustainable or I'm going to crash, because as I said, you can't be depleted on set. You have to look your part. You have to also have the energy to sustain a long shoot.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you have all the time, you have all the energy to fuel that kind of demand that you have. So our approach is very simple. Our approach is of course, all of this is calculated. All calories are calculated and distributed. It's just about dialing in the right time of when she should eat, how she should eat, what gaps she should eat at, and just making sure that all the work is put in together. And as I said, we create that synergy as a team, and that's exactly what we did.
Wow, that's beautiful. And the result was something that everyone marveled at.
Yeah, it was soft and strong at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. For any layman watching right now, our viewers and listeners, I want you to explain, if you could just briefly help us navigate through what an ideal diet for Kiara would be a year into prep for this very movie, and closer to the body shots. What would her ideal diet be like?
What would her ideal diet be like? As I said, I like to keep things close to home because, as I said, sustainability is everything.
Right.
So if I put her on something, or put any of my actors and actresses on something that they're not used to, they're eventually going to snap.
Correct.
So when we started with Kiara's body work for prepping for her body, it was about 5 months before. So again, we cut her calories, we kept her on a maintenance plan. We didn't cut too much. We didn't put her in a deficit too long, because she also was shooting another movie, working at the same time on her, as I said, on her other movie.
So she's keeping up with basically two.
Yes, she was trying to, we were in between two different roles. So we were not doing too much earlier. We were just eating the right food, making sure your plate always has enough vegetables. I mean, I know protein has taken center stage to everything, but fiber is, if not equal, but more important, because if you don't have enough fiber, you can't digest the protein. So making sure your plate always has that kind of fiber, eating the right source of protein that she's used to eating, and she's very comfortable eating chicken. So making sure that she had chicken in her meals, making sure she had good fat so her hormones don't get disrupted. Your cycles are, you don't want to have irregular cycles and worry about other things. So,
of course.
So that was our goal. We kept her on a maintenance, and then slowly, closer to shoot, we tried to intensify her training a bit, and then creating that little bit of a deficit that we could.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Lovely. And, with all that you've done, all the celebrities that you work with, I just mentioned the big names.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the major misconceptions pertaining to celebrity diets that you come across and you like to...
So many.
Bust them out.
that they don't eat.
Right.
That they
are on crash diets.
They are on juice diets. I don't understand this craze of detox juices. I mean, I'm fully against it. I think those are the biggest misconceptions, that they are taking shortcuts. I don't know, the new talk about every second person, if the person is actually put in the work. I'm not talking about Kiara or any particular actress, but suddenly now the thing is that they're on Mounjaro.
Or Ozempic.
Ozempic, there's
absolutely.
So I feel like these are all assumptions. I mean, even if you're on Ozempic, you still have to eat healthy. You still have to fuel your body correctly, and people are doing that. So you can't just assume everything. I feel like Instagram, social media just picks up what they want to pick up, and then we just conveniently use it in our plan. Like this whole craze about ghee.
Yeah.
You will hear one person talk about ghee, and then you start adding it to your plan, but you're not realizing that they're saying that they're having 1 teaspoon ghee in the morning. Like an actor or an actress will advocate that, I get up in the morning, and I'm having ghee, and okay, that's great for you. You're starting your day with fat first, and that's the only thing I took away from that. But I'm not realizing that I'm eating so unhealthy throughout the day. So I'm adding extra ghee.
Yeah.
And assuming that no, if they are doing it, that means it's healthy. So now it's going to be healthy for me. So it's just a lot of misconceptions. I feel like the whole story is never heard.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that was Nicole for you. And this was the first episode of The Health Hustle. season 2. Thank you so much, Nicole.
You're most welcome.
We are
Thank
gonna
you.
dive deeper into the six-pack science in episode 2 of season 2 of the Health Hustle.
Awesome.
But before we let you go, could you tell us your Instagram ID and all the wonderful things that you do so that our listeners and
I
viewers
think you've
can-
already said so much, but my Instagram handle is Nicole Linhares Kedia.
This is the Health Hustle, where we make your health worries hassle-free. And I'm so excited to pick the brains of Nicole all throughout the season. 3 more episodes coming your way. Let us know in the comment section, what is it that you didn't know about celebrity diets that you now know? And what is it that you'd want for us to cover in the further episodes of this very season? You can subscribe to Radio 1 International if you already haven't. And like this video, share this with people who you feel have misconceptions pertaining to what celebrity diets are. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
94.3 Radio 1.